Hello everyone, welcome. So wonderful to see so many of your faces, some faces that I know, some of you whom I don't, and a bunch of new faces as well. Really appreciate you taking the time out to be with us this evening for what will be such a great one, I'm sure. My name is Nora Abdullahi Sheikh, and today I will be chairing the discussion that we'll be having with these amazing women. A little bit about myself. I am somebody who has 10 years of experience within the employer branding, corporate communications, and diversity, equity, and inclusion space. I've worked with brands like Black Girl Fest, BBC, L'Oreal, Founders Vine, etc., etc. So the Creative Cafe is actually a series that Cade Arts runs monthly, but this time we're doing something a little bit special with a specific focus on the amazing Somali women within our communities. So I think that deserves another round of applause too. So the theme of this evening will be centered around innovation and creativity, and we have some amazing performers and panelists that will talk us through all those wonderful things. So to get things started and to ensure that we're kicking things off the way we want to kick things off, we have the amazing Nemo Askar. Give her a round of applause. Nemo is a poet, a founder, and a dear friend of mine, actually, just giving you a bit of a fun fact. She is the founder of Poetry and Shah. She has done countless projects in and around London, working with various organizations as well. And she is just such a pioneer within the poetry scene. She is so wonderfully human in every aspect, and I think that you will definitely be able to resonate with her poetry this evening. So I want you to give her a warm welcome, and welcome to the stage, Nemo Askar.
Hi guys, that was a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much. I hope I'm able to live up to it, and then you will all be able to enjoy the collection of poetry I've got. So I am going to start my poems now. The drums do not stop beating. Hoyo pulls my hands together and tells me to clap. We jump in a union, each foot hitting the ground one at a time. Women come in groups, in circles, asking where I came from and where I was born in, and jump around me. We huddle in prayer, away for safety, celebration for those who stayed and for those who left, to arrive at the mouth of the water safely. The drums keep going in prayer, each foot hitting the ground, praying that the calls reach them. Thank you. So a lot of my poems explore different themes. This poem is called Untitled. I've edited it, but essentially it's my experiences of going to Dahabshil, so where you go to pay, where you go to send money back home. So it's called Untitled. My uncles have bellies welcoming their age, and ma'awiz that mellows out the loneliness brought on from distance, a gift from years ago. They retell me stories of escaping from school and almost making it to the national football team, if it wasn't for their knees. The uncle behind the booth in Dahabshil asks me how much to send. I say enough, but it never is. I lean back into the phone and ask how everyone is. They tell me age has caught up and everything hurts lately. The uncle from Dahabshil pops his head back in disbelief, listening to me attempting to push Somali out of my mouth. I tell him, somewhere between arriving here, I have lost something important. I hand over the note my mother wrote and take in inquiries about my failed tongue. Everything is for asking in this space. Thank you. The next poem is about my mom's relationship with Princess Diana. So it's called My Mother Remembers. My mother remembers serving Diana halwa and shah in a one-bedroom flat in Fulham, walking shoulder to shoulder in Shepherd Bush to buy bati and miswak, tracing the family photo albums together and showing her route to school, and drinking tea together in the local coffee shop. My mother remembers that she too wore a red dress when arriving at Heathrow Airport, pushing past bodies who do not refer to her by her father's name. My mother remembers Diana's death like she remembers her father's. Maybe it's because no matter how many times she attempts speaking English, at least Diana understood. She was trying. Thank you. This is a poem I wrote in response to when someone was asked, what was your struggle meal? And someone responded, anjero and baked beans. So the poem is called Baked Beans and Anjero. Someone shared that they had baked beans and anjero in response to the tweet, what is your struggle meal? I watched as people flooded in the comment section, asking how they were brought up and if community intervention was needed. Another chimed up and said wasabi and anjero, calling for grievances from all ages. I wondered if Hoyas imagined years later their children would be putting baked beans on anjero and responding Hoya matalo when asked questions. Thank you. Have you all seen the film Gravedigger's Wife? Absolutely incredible. So if you haven't, definitely go see it. This is a poem I wrote in response to after watching that film. And it's called Love is a Lone Red Hill on a Mountain. Love is a lone red hill on a mountain, sitting somewhere between sunrise and sunset in spring, held together by the desperation of giving all, even if there's nothing to give. Love can walk barefoot to bring years of unspoken prayers to service. There is no need for secrets here. She knows all there is. Even between curtains holding up, pretending to be doorways, nothing in here smells like little. Love is enough to feed on smiles, hugs, and what the future holds. Thank you. This is a poem called 2009 Winter. And it's about when in high school when we got chased by our head of years. But yeah. 2009 Winter. This space offers a great collection of R&B music to romance getting chased through South Park by two middle-aged white men staggering through the snow to send you home at the second the bell rings. Instead of wondering why you are roaming through a park in the snow, you throw snowballs at their faces, extending this moment. They get angrier, it's cold, and there's no time to be saving. Thank you. Last two poems. So this poem, I was part of a workshop, a retreat workshop, and we had to write about one of the most difficult moments we've experienced, but as if it's the best thing that possibly happened to us. And this poem is about my grandfather, may Allah have mercy on him, when he passed away, and it's called Happy. After my grandfather died, I could hear him moving around in the kitchen, his feet lightly tapping to Dora Dora Ban Doyo. I could visit unmarked graves and imagine and pretend it's his. I imagine him sitting beside me, his red henna stained beard flowing while he's showing off his somersault. As we drink shah without care, I feel so happy, not minding the smell of salty water and missed phone calls, or how when I call him, I can only hear birds singing and the laughter of children in the background. I could hold his hand and make up for the years we've missed on. Thank you. The last poem is called Pray Your Deafness Away. This poem is about, so I've lost my hearing on my right ear, and I'm also losing my hearing on the left ear. So it's about my experiences with my hearing loss. 1. My ears speak like they're missing a tooth. There are no guidelines on deafness. My local sheikh tells me to pray away my deafness. 1. Build a mosque from your silence. 2. Give an arm or a leg. Sacrifice your eyes. Ask for anything but silence. 2. My brother is playing video games to drown out his emotions. I have 4 tabs opened. A month getaway somewhere far and sunny. A bucket list of things I never did, like taking long walks. A list of all my past lovers. A list of ways to forgive me for not saving me. 3. I'm on my 6th search on how to handle death. Hoya says deafness is for those who do not pray tahajjud. In God's name, I move a bone or 2. Ameen. Add more tweets beneath my 2 a.m. Twitter thread and pretend I give as much love to myself as I give to others. On my 6th visit to the hospital, I learned that I can lip read so well that both my ears and I thought I could hear. There is nothing holier than silence. I open my mouth only for my ears to draw my tongue back. It is terrifying how much of yourself you're exposed to in silence. Hoya says to keep praying. There is no violence like words refusing to enter you. Ask for anything but silence. Thank you so much. And thank you so much.
One more round of applause for Nimaska. Yeah, when I said human, I meant human. It's a real honor to be here this evening, to be able to just let these women do their thing and talk to you about all the amazing things that they do that quite often don't get kind of like highlighted within mainstream media or even like the programming of arts and culture. So without further ado, I want to start introducing these amazing women. First up, we have Hannah Abdullah. Hannah is the artistic director of Side Eye Production, a company dedicated to budding storytelling. Side Eye, whose recent productions that you all know, Duxie Days, Home, and Arabella, which I've seen countless of times, and most recently have been invited to Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So I think that deserves a round of applause. Hannah envisions Side Eye as a platform for emerging Somali artists to shine, providing them with a space to showcase their talents and tell their unique stories. Hannah has also worked in government, working as a digital professional, and when she wants to get away from the screen, loves playing with clay. I think we've all been to the pottery making classes that we see on TikTok, right? Round of applause for Hannah. Next up, we have Hafsa Yusuf. Round of applause. Hafsa is a textile designer, educator, and entrepreneur whose distinctive designs showcase the rich heritage of Somali design and culture with contemporary nods. Her most recent collection is inspired by the traditional Hido Dakhan fabrics, and she is passionate about reviving the Somali textiles industry. Hafsa's community remains central to her work, and she leads community engagement projects for local women, centering their skills, experiences, and talents. Hafsa's work has been showcased on the BBC, iNews, and AFP. A round of applause for Hafsa. I hope you supported as well and grabbed you a few pieces, because I definitely did. And last but not least, we have the wonderful Qadra Ibrahim, actress and presenter. Qadra is a London-based actress and presenter alongside her freelance creative endeavors. Qadra is also an advocate for single mothers and leads community work. Round of applause for Qadra.
So we have a really great mix of Somali women here for us to delve into the world of creativity and innovation. And I think each of you brings something really special and unique to what we see as like the culture moving forward within the creative spaces. So I have a few questions for you all that most of you can definitely give some really great answers to, as well as some very specific questions as well. So I want to kickstart things off with this one. What role do you believe Somali women play in pushing boundaries and challenging stereotypes in the creative industries?
Just looking straight at me. I guess just telling stories that is about us, right? Like that just does it naturally. And like thinking about, and specifically like in Side Eye, the stories that we try and tell is like stories that isn't things that people just assume about us. So like we understand that our community, there's like trials, tribulations, like experiences of like coming into the country, you have but some of the things like, for example, FGM, as much as it is an important discussion, it's what audience does it serve when you put that on a screen, for example, or you put that on stage? Who are you writing that for? Because we know what's happening within our community, right? And then sometimes we're putting things on basically for a certain gaze. And I think what we try and do in Side Eye is try and put on stories that celebrates us, that just us being like our, I know this word's overused, but like our authentic self, and just things that are just like that we find fun. And yeah, and like why can't we tell stories about, I don't know, like trying to, solving a crime mystery. Like, why can't we write stories like that? And so, yeah, I guess you push boundaries by telling everyday stories that white people are always allowed to tell, but all of a sudden we can't because we need to show something about us, right? What makes us unique, or, the controversy about our community. So, yeah, I guess telling just general stories.
Yeah, I love that.
Can you all hear me? Sorry, I literally... so for me, I think I live in my own world. Hands up who follows me on social media. Not that many. Okay, so I literally live in my own world. So like you said, we're not given those opportunities. We're not part of those conversations. So I think for me, I've always been a creative. I've always wanted to be in the spotlight. And I think for me, social media has allowed me to kind of do that. So I'm a representation of me. And I know that there are so many women out there that literally look like me and go through, especially what I go through, all of the trials and tribulations of life, So with me, I feel that I represent myself, and therefore others will see themselves in me. So I'm just unapologetically myself, and that's kind of how I navigate it. And I think we shouldn't be put in a stereotype box, or, you know, and that's kind of, I think I'm a rebellious person in that sense, because, you know, I'm a single mum, and, you know, that's often something that I don't know, like in our community, it's not so, like, it's not something that we wear as a badge of honour. It's kind of like, oh, you're a single mum now, like, calm down, like, that's it, your life is over now, you've had one chance, love, you know? And it's like, no, actually, sorry, that's not the case. I'm a human being with lots of personality, with lots of, like, you know, experiences. Why should my life be determined? So for me, I think that's what I try and do every day in just, you know, existing and trying to communicate with, you know, similar women from the same background as myself, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah, I think you answered that beautifully.
Hi, assalamu alaikum everyone. Firstly, just shout out to all the Somali women and our incredible mothers, and also every person in the community, mashallah. I think Somali women are some of the most resilient women I've ever come across. And subhanAllah, we're so powerful in terms of the struggles that we've gone through and how we just act like nothing happened, you know? And so I think also creativity is just the best way to sort of tell stories. And with me and my platform, I try to use my platform in a way of like uplifting our community, especially the incredible women. But also I think art and design is a way of changing that narrative and also challenging that narrative that's already out there. And also a way of sort of communicating to other people our incredible stories and also our struggles at the same time. So yes, I think creativity is such a powerful tool to use to change the whole narrative of the community.
Yeah, I think creativity definitely is a catalyst to being able to change a lot of things that traditionally, like, we wouldn't be able to. It's such a form of expression for us. And as Somalis, point blank period, like, the amount of creativity that we have within our culture is vast. And I think propellers of that culture are the women. So yeah, big up to all the women then. Just following on from that question, actually, there was something that you said, Hafsa, that I wanted to touch on. And it's by, you know, the amazing designs that you create. Your textile designs are obviously inspired by traditional Somali fabrics, but also incorporate contemporary elements. Can you talk a little bit about how you infuse your designs with, like, those innovative nods?
Yes, of course. So just a bit about me. My background is in textile design, and I studied textile design at university. After that, alhamdulillah, I worked in sort of in art education, and then now, alhamdulillah, I have my own sort of art studio in East London, where I design and I make beautiful prints, and I also do a lot of community workshops. For me, as an artist and as a designer, I always love to do meaningful sort of designs and work that is with purpose, and also work that has a story, but also uplifting my community. So I thought to myself, one thing I've realized is our culture is so beautiful, subhanAllah, like our textiles, our heritage is so beautiful. And I just saw a way of, you know, using textiles to, I don't like to say change in any way, but to innovate it, and to sort of create work that, inshallah, future generations can call their own. So what I wanted to do is I took inspiration from the traditional one. So as you can see, I'm wearing some of my designs today. It's inspired by the Hidi Dakhan print. And what I wanted to do is I did a sort of contemporary twist to the designs. So one thing I'm very, very passionate is about really sharing and also showcasing the beauty of my culture through design and through textiles. So yeah, and I think as just my generation and as a diaspora, we're so in need for new designs, you know, that we feel connected to. So yeah, so that's one of the reasons that really inspired it. So it's about taking designs from traditional Somali textiles and bring them back, but in a very contemporary way. Yeah.
I love that. I love that we can explore storytelling in various different forms. It doesn't have to exist solely in the ways that we know. And I love that there are women like you who are bringing storytelling to a completely new canvas, so to speak. So yeah, keep doing it, because there's support for you here. On the note of storytelling, woo woo, yeah. On the note of storytelling, I actually wanted to bring this question to Hannah. How do you incorporate new and innovative ideas into your theatre production while still honouring traditional Somali storytelling?
So our first production, Arawela, so like some of the team are not here today, but like when we did Arawela, it started off in like a little small, I think it was like in a little cafe, and we had Hannah Ali, who at the time I think was like artistic director at Cade, who came out to watch. And it was, for us, it was the retelling of like this folk tale, right? We all have heard like the negative sort of connotations as women like around the story of Arawela, but actually how could we tell that in like a more like in an interesting way that is like actually it's quite like she was quite a figure, right? Like she was
badass.
Very badass, and she was about putting women on, and actually that story got skewed by men who wanted to figure out a way to, I don't know, you know how men are, just controlling, whatever, like in our societies. But like, I guess we don't, because the traditional ways of storytelling, as in Somali theatre, I guess we don't do that as much, I think, in Side-Eye. We do it in the contemporary, I guess, theatre, and in the sense of like what you quote unquote like sort of like how you put on a theatrical production. And I know that in Somali storytelling it would be almost quite like people would just get up and perform, right? Like there was like quite a performative sort of culture of just like people getting up on stage, and the you know, and like for us I guess for us it was about making sure that we honour the sorts of stories that were on stage in Somalia and bring that back here. So I guess I'm not answering your question, because I guess we don't do it, but we kind of do, in that we're trying to honour some of the stories. But we have more contemporary pieces, I guess, in recent times. So when we did Home, which was about the relationship between two Somali sisters, and recently Duxi Days, which is I don't know who came out to see Duxi Days, but like in the storytelling, it was about these four girls in Duxi detention, but they pick up on those types of stories that we heard when we were younger, you know, the girl who threw the Quran and like turned into a rat, or like a monkey. So like we brought those stories of like what was told to us to like control us when we were younger in our behavior. So I guess we touched on those kind of things, but yeah, I don't know how we honor it. It's a very difficult question, because maybe I didn't
think you do though.
But yeah, yeah.
I think you do. I've been able to see all of the plays, and I think most distinctively it was in Home, especially with that relationship between like the mum and was it the mum and sister? Yeah. And just the comedy. The comedy element in Home was such a tribute to like the riwayads.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? And it was something that I really enjoyed watching. So I think you do it.
Yeah,
I think you do it. Going on with the theme of creativity and innovation, Khadra, you spoke about like your experience of being able to express yourself and kind of like teasing out your creative flair on social media. We're definitely in a digital age now. Technology is all the rave. How do you find navigating the digital space and ensuring that your creativity, I guess, stays authentic to you?
I don't do enough of it, to be fair. Social media is a side passion of mine amongst my 9 to 5. So I work 9 to 5, you know, got to pay the bills, right? So this is like this is my heart beating when I do social media and communicate with you know, those that follow me, those that kind of are connected to what I do and what I have to say. So I don't do enough of it, unfortunately, because, you know, half the time, you know, I've come back from a 9 to 5 job, you know, and it's like, but then I also like to think that I'm raw, because I actually don't edit anything that I do. I freestyle, So you'll see me often coming back from work going, oh my God, I've had such a shit day, this is what happened to me, and just being so raw, and I not sort of, you know, like, I think it's more vlog style, if that makes sense. So I feel like in order for me to be authentic and to always be true to myself and to say, hey, look, you know, if you're looking at me, these are the complexity of being a single parent, being a woman, being a, you know, I don't think I just talk about being a single parent, FYI. I don't just talk about being a single parent. You know, there's loads of interest that I have. So I think for me, I think it's like a documentary, wouldn't you say? Like, if I'm constantly vlogging, like, this is what I did, this is what I got up to, this is what, you know, like, it's a constant, like, update of what I'm doing. So I don't know, it's a memoir, perhaps. It could be turned into a film one day, I hope. Yeah, think dream big, dream big. But yeah, not enough of it, I think. I'm not doing, personally.
Yeah, I want to see more of you. I love watching Khadra's vlogs. Like, honestly, they brighten up my day because it's kind of that escapism that you're looking for. And I think when we think about the creative spaces, often it's very much like formulated in a way that is for somebody else's gaze and never really like what you would want to enjoy personally. We're almost kind of brainwashed into consuming same old, and then you get a breath of fresh air. Where it's
just feeling like you don't have to fake it. Like,
exactly.
People are more relatable when they see themselves in you, like your mess ups, your ups and downs. Like, why would you? It's not a film. It's real life.
And I think that's what makes part of innovation, because like you can't have everything perfect. I think if things are perfect all the time, like there's no room to like mess up and learn from those mistakes and I guess just live your life in a better way that suits you and not for somebody else. So like you're doing the thing. Yeah. You're doing the thing, babe. A question that I actually had for everybody, just based on what we've already discussed, so many gems. How do you navigate the cultural expectations and societal norms while still being able to be, you know, a Somali woman who was creative and innovative? Because there's quite a lot of, I guess, eyes, there's a lot of perception out there. So you know, hishod, all those things that we know too well of. So I guess how do you navigate those two things?
Hannah, do you do much of that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, do you want to experiment with your like ideas and then think, oh God, are we going to be too much for the community?
Yeah, I guess we actually go through that a lot when we're editing our scripts. So we're thinking about the audience, how to, like, our last thing actually that we want to do is make anyone feel alienated from when they watch a piece of our theatre or whatever, inshallah, goes into film or screen from us. But like, I think for us, we also, like, it's the conversation we have as a team every single day. Like, how do we make people feel welcome to come see us, but actually how do we also touch on those topics or those sensitive areas because they actually happen as well, right? Or that they're actually real. Yeah. So we've really, alhamdulillah, we've had a lot of joy in like creating a lot of pieces that are actually quite joyful. But we do envision like some of our like future plays, like we put out a call out recently, we're going to have writers submitting, and I think it's important to, like, our Somali Nima sometimes, like we think we're like this gang mentality, right, about what like a Somali is, and we need to be like mindful that everyone's really different and everyone's like the story that they want to tell might not be what you think is Somali, right, or like what, you know, this quote unquote. And so I think what we're trying to learn is how, as a team, do we push that boundary, but also do it in a sensitive way? So yeah, I guess is like the thing for us at the moment. I don't, not to say like, oh, this is the thing that we want to talk about, this, that thing, but like even just like in the characterization of a character, right? Or like what they say, like as a basic, let's just say they're swearing, you know what I mean? Like, we know that happens, but we don't want people to feel alienated if it's like a certain different topic, right? But yeah, it's going to be a real challenge because it's just that thing of like, we just need to see people as different and accept the difference within our community. And how we do that, we'll see, inshallah. We always have this fear that there's going to be this one day where someone calls out side-eye and they're like, side-eye's gone left. Like, do you know what I mean? Side-eye's telling these funky stories, but it is what it is, I think, is going to be how we're going to see things, because people have these stories and these things have happened to people. So why not?
Period.
Yeah.
If you don't share them, I think you won't be authentic to yourself.
Yeah.
And also you won't be, I mean, obviously you're going to have writers writing into you, telling you their story, or, you know, all of that sort of stuff. But sometimes I feel like I really would, like, I get that you're being sensitive to people, but I really just hope that you never lose that aspect of we've got a platform, or we've got a duty to kind of to tell people stories.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's good to be uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah.
But
it's also that balance though, right? Because so much of the media makes us uncomfortable. So then what do we provide for our community, right? Exactly. Like, are we going to add to that uncomfortability again? I don't know. I don't know the answer, by the way. It's just, I'm just saying, like, we'll see what happens, but we won't be afraid. But do you know what I mean? Like, I remember I was having a conversation with a writer a few days ago, and they were like, they wanted to write about the abuse that they experienced with their mum. And I was just like, write it, like, let's see what comes out of it. And she was just like, but do you think people want to watch this? I was just like, let's not think about that.
Yeah.
Get your words down. If it's brilliantly written and it's a story that needs to be told, and because there's beauty in the way you've written it, then we will explore that. But that's the problem, like, when you come from a community that sometimes can feel quite insular. You feel like you have to tell a certain story, and it'll only be received in a certain way, and then we lose the bound. Like, we don't experiment often. Yeah. It's a real balance because it comes with pros and cons. So yeah. Anyways, Allahu A'lam. Let's see.
Just to add to that, my personal story. So when I first sort of wanted to do cultural inspired prints, one of the thoughts that I had was, okay, how is the community going to take this? Because I'm taking something that's so precious, culturally, that, that's lived on for how long, and I'm doing something different to it. So I'm pushing the boundaries in design. But you know what, I thought to myself, look, for us as a community to grow, I think creativity is where we need to push the boundaries in terms of what we could do. So alhamdulillah, I just went for it. I put it out there on Twitter. I think I first started my Hadida Khan collection like 4 years ago, and I put it out on Twitter. And I have to say, all those worries just went out of the window. People were so supportive. Like, the Somali community, subhanAllah, they're very, very supportive in terms of when it comes to creativity. But of course, like the pros and cons you were mentioning, there are always cons. There are always those few people that, come up to you, write paragraphs and send you DMs saying what you're doing is wrong and you should stop because it's different and it's new. So there's always going to be those people that would sort of challenge that, anything new. Change or anything new. And I think as a culture, for us to grow, we really need to value creativity and art. And that's how we can push that narrative, but also level up our designs at the same time. So yeah, I had a few people say to me, what you're doing is wrong because you're changing the culture. Again, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just creating new designs inspired by it. I'm actually celebrating it. There are a few people that say, you shouldn't design anything other than what's in the past. So culture should only be from the past only. And that's the narrative that I'm trying to challenge as much as possible. But yeah, so there always will be people that will challenge that and any, new ways of thinking. But you'll be surprised, there's a lot more people that in our community, Somali community, that support us than those that don't. It's just they're really loud. That's all.
What gatekeepers? I love our people. We are such gatekeepers. We are one human being. Like, they literally took the Ummah to a next level. Oh, no shade. I love you guys. So I think just very quickly, I think for me, I know that
there's always going to be people that will judge me. I'm under no illusion that as a Muslim woman, you know, I'm not practicing outwardly. I'm not, you know, like you'll all, and being a parent as well, like, you know, I get the hishod hoya time and care. It's like, okay. Do you know what I mean? So you get, I get it. But for me, I think if I live for other people, I would continuously just be unhappy. And, you know, no one's in my life. And, you know, it might be an individualistic, I got there in the end, way of thinking, but like maybe it's the British in me. I'm not living for you. I'm living for myself. Like, you know, and I think if you don't push yourself, and if you don't push the boundary, and if you don't challenge yourself, because as human beings we're constantly battling with our own sort of demons, our own, like, you know, challenges of life, and we've all got dreams and aspirations to be more and want more. So if you're stunted by that dream by somebody from social media or somebody down the road or auntie up the road, like, do you know what I mean? It's like you can't live for other people. So I think I hope that the sort of younger generation are conscious of, yes, you know, I'm going to respect you, I'm going to do what, you know, within realms, but, you know, times has changed. I think we should all want to be better and greater and push the boundary of our, I don't know, what's the word, like creativity, you know? Push the boundaries, I say.
Here. No, I echo all those sentiments. I think there's a real opportunity for like intergenerational listening, and I think we can learn from each other, like the elders and the youngers, because really and truly when we look back at like just the history of like our countries, art and culture very much the forefront of everything that we do, and has very much allows us to play in all these different arenas. When we think about today in tech, for example, creativity, people who are innovative thinkers, people who are creative problem solvers are all coming from this place of creative thinking. You know, let's see how the user journey is, UXI, is it accessible? All these things come from a creative mindset. So I think there definitely is room for, you know, that to be innovative, and it's just about how we communicate it, I guess, to like an older generation who, with good reason, they want to hold on to that identity, but that identity won't be able to flourish, and we will have resentment for that identity if we're not able to expand upon it later down the line. So I think for anybody who, I guess, is thinking about whether they should or shouldn't, always should. Always push the boundaries, always strive to be better, because at the end of the day, that's the best thing that you can do to honor the legacies that we come from, the creativity, the stories that we're told, and all the various different, you know, in all the various different like forms that we express that in. So I think it's really brave to be able to continuously push the boundaries with like creativity and innovation. And I think without creative people, without creative Somali women specifically, I think the Somali community would be at a detriment. And yes, I said it. So Hafsa, I actually wanted to follow up with you specifically, Ari, like your textile designs, which I absolutely love, by the way. The question that I wanted to ask actually was, your work showcases the rich heritage of Somali design and culture. Can you tell us a little bit more about your design process? Like, what is it that you get up to when you're in the studio kind of like brainstorming all these like wonderful designs? Or what does that look like?
Yeah, so every day at the studio is not the same, and that's one thing I really love about it. So with design, a lot of people ask me this question, like, how do you get your inspiration? And as an artist, I think it's so hard to explain sometimes, because sometimes I can just get visions of like what I want to do, and it's really hard to sort of plan out. So anytime I get a vision, it's like I have to drop what I'm doing and I have to get, my sketchbook and write it down. But my source of inspiration mostly is from our textiles. So the process of designing is, what I do is, first, of course, I get mood boards. To design a collection, it takes me around 6 to 8 months sometimes, so it does take a while, because I do feel a sense of, also, because I'm representing the culture, you want to do justice to it. So I really do pour my passion and heart into all the designs. Everything is sort of hand-drawn. So I start off with initial sketches, of course, and then after that I start to paint, and then I digitally manipulate the textiles. And of course that goes through a lot of processing, of sampling and things like that. But it's a long process, but I absolutely love the creative process, and I feel like I'm so blessed to be doing something that my heart is so connected to as an artist. And I feel like what really, really does encourage me to push the boundaries with my design is to know that because I'm creating Somali textiles, then inshallah that I hope that, is a legacy that can continue forever, that, because textiles is something I think that would live in communities forever. Like if you look at our textiles that we have, so inshallah the aim and the goal and the vision is to, to create new contemporary works each and every year, that inshallah future generations can call their own and celebrate. But yeah, so that's a bit about the design process and how it happens. But most of the time it is not planned. Whenever I feel like designing, at any time during the day, I just get my sketchbook and pen to paper.
I love how you describe that as visions, because I think we can all attest to this. Whenever we have like that one idea that just seems so like great, it is literally like a That's So Raven moment. You're like, okay, I need to like jot this down in my notes, or I need to like scribble it down on paper, or like draw it if you can, if you're a good drawer. But yeah, I think you should honor that. I think anything that comes to you like that is literally inspiration from, I like to believe, a higher being, like that message is specifically for you to go out and create. So it's really interesting to hear like how that happens for you. And the note that you said about every day not looking the same, I think sometimes people look at folks who are in the creative industries or spaces and think that there's just like this abundant reel of like ideas and don't realize that actually, I think you guys can speak a little bit more to it.
Yeah. And I've also just learned to sort of trust the process. So there are times, just like, your body needs to rest, there are times during the year where I'm most creative. And then there's times where I have to sort of recharge. So it also really allowed me to be very conscious of my mind. Because a lot of times, like, for example, the lockdown was a very difficult time as an artist, and I'm sure for so many other people. Yeah, it was the most difficult time because I wasn't feeling inspired because of how I felt. So how I feel really does always, it really does influence how I work. And alhamdulillah, I think that I do see that as a blessing, because it really makes me in tune with myself as an artist and really check myself, if there's, if I can't, I'm like, what's happening? What do I need to fix? But So it's a lot about, being in the moment, trusting in the process, and not rushing the design process as well.
Yeah, thanks. Hannah, this question is for you, because I've always been like the type of person who's wanted to start something. And here you are with a whole production company, essentially. Like, what inspired you, and what keeps you motivated to keep doing that work?
A, what inspired me, and B?
What motivates you to continue doing the work?
So when I was younger, when I was little, my mum used to take me to like drama class and like all these things, and then as I got older, she was like, yo, like, I thought that was a hobby, like relax. And then I kind of left that behind, like into secondary school, whatever. And then during A-levels, I was like, me and my mom, I don't know why I was having negotiations with my mom about what I'm going to study for A-levels. But anyways, I had to like, my mom she was a very serious lady. She was like, come to me and tell me what you want to study for your A-levels. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do these, like I'll do economics, I'll do politics, but I'm going to do theatre studies. And she was just like, no theatre studies, why? I was like, listen, I'm going to do like theatre studies. I've done the politics. You want me to do politics? I'm picking up theatre studies. So that was the negotiation. Went into uni, went down like a completely different route to, I think, I went down like comparative religion, that's what I studied. Like when I was at uni, I was like, why am I not doing the thing that I love? Like, I love like looking at religion and like philosophy and things like that. But then I was just like, but like my true like calling, I think is in acting or like in writing or like hearing Somali stories or like finding people who want to write. And then it kind of just plateaued. Like I just didn't do anything with the idea. I knew I wanted to do something. I started teaching and I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, but I just left it behind for so long. And then there was a call out, shout out Shukri, who kind of brought us all together. She did a call out. She was like, I want to tell this story of Arawela. That's how Side Eye basically came about, really. She was like, I want to tell the story of Arawela. She was like, do you want to act? I was like, yeah, like let's get involved. And at this point we were doing a call out and there were like hardly it was so hard to find people who were Somali who wanted to perform. And it was like pulling, like, at this time I was like, what was I? I was like 23, I'm like 29 now. Like I was just like, yeah, let's find people. No one wanted to perform, but we kept at it. We had a very mixed cast, actually. If you look back at the photos of Arawela, like there were people who were Somali. There was like one other Somali, and then the rest were all from like different cultural backgrounds. And we were like, if we keep at it and people learn about what we're doing, then maybe there'll be more people that are interested. And alhamdulillah, we've had like the support of Cade, who've been platforming us literally since the start from Arawela. Like we wouldn't be where we are right now if we didn't have that space or that slot every year to be like, hey, we're going to put on theatre. I know they have trouble when I'm not great at responding to emails and a bit slow with like coming up with ideas and things, but in the end it does pay off, I promise, right? But like the process takes some time. But you know, we've had those slots every year, and that's what's kept us going. It's that returning of the audience, and I don't know if you would agree, Ayan, Hannah, like we've built a real audience, right, over the years when it comes to. We've built a real audience that come and like who engage with our Instagram, and it's growing year on year to the point there's like people messaging like, I want to perform, I want to act, I want to direct, I want to produce, and it's like. This is what keeps me going because I just want to platform and give like people opportunity to do the thing that I also love, which is like to perform or to act. Even though I'm like taking a backseat sort of role in producing because I have a little one, so it's just been a bit more difficult to get involved in terms of acting and stuff. Which was like 6 months when we were doing Dugsi Days, but yeah, like Somalis keep me going, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just been real fun, just spot on stories. And Sabrina Ali, like, her Dugsi Days is an incredible, like, comedic piece of theatre.
Shout out to Sabrina.
Yeah, shout out to Sabrina. And inshallah, that will be going places. So, you know, if you haven't heard of Dugsi Days, you probably will see it in a theatre nearby soon, inshallah.
Yeah. You said something that made me like recall my own like growing up. I was a drama kid, so I was in choir.
Drama kid.
I was in choir. I played drums. I play guitar to this day still. But Mama definitely was like, as soon as you hit a certain age, you're the daughter. You're the eldest daughter.
Yeah.
It's just two of you. Yeah, we're not like a traditional Somali family with a bunch of kids. You have to represent. So I definitely went into like a more academic route.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about if you are innately a creative person, it will show up at one point or another.
Yeah.
And it's manifested in the various different projects that I've done and the people that I've worked with. And I think, you know, it's a real blessing because it's still something that motivates me to this day.
And you need to like like, it's so funny because I've been married like for like 7 years? Well, I don't know, 7 years now. And my husband, it wasn't until we did Adderall, he was like, what, you like acting? Like, it was like a thing that, like, when we met, he didn't even know that side of me because it was just like this thing that I just wasn't really doing. And I was like, hey, like, yeah, I'm a big drama person. Like, I love drama, I love theatre. And then he was just like, okay. And then he just thought I'd like to just go to the theatre to watch it, like not actually being part of it. And now he's like got this wife that's like running around saying that she's an actor, and he's just like, I wasn't prepared, but let's go with it, you know? But yeah. But it's been fun. Like, I think if you, yeah, like, firstly, drama's just great at like building confidence generally, but it's such a space where you get to just take on characters and tell stories that are super fun. And I can't wait for, if you haven't seen Dixie Days, I can't wait for you to go see it because it is.
Get the tickets while you can.
Yeah.
Literally.
And come to Edinburgh. If you, we're going to be at Edinburgh Fringe. I know it's like, yeah, it's a trek, but if you're out in Edinburgh, please come to the Fringe Festival because we'll be there performing every single day for 30 days. So it's nuts. But yeah. Woohoo!
All of you have given us such amazing insights throughout the course of this discussion. To close the discussion, there's one last question that I wanted to ask. So the question is, what advice, typical question, what advice would you give to anybody who wanted to pursue a career within the creative spaces or just keep a hold onto that creative flair, innovation, whatever you want to call it, essentially? What advice would you give to those people?
I've got a point that's really quick, but it's find where things are happening at a local level. Like, I really believe in local level arts. Like, look, like what we've been doing here with Cade, year on year, putting on like Somali, like our plays essentially, right? And I think there's so much of a thing where we think we're validated by like people, like corporations, do you know what I mean? Or like an attachment to a brand or an attachment to this theatre's taking us on, do you know what I mean? If you work at a local level, those fruits will come later. Don't go to them first. Start where like home is, essentially, is what I would say.
Beautiful advice. Just to add to that, I would say it's very cliche, but trust the process of what you're doing. Really be in the moment. I think as artists and as designers, sometimes we can so much stress about the future so much that yes, it can actually take away the creativity in that moment and your potential of what you could do. So yeah, don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the all of that. Just be in the present moment. Be a sponge, learn as much as you can, and all the failures that you have along the way is part of the journey, is part of the, your success, inshallah. So, take that as an experience, and I think own every single thing that you've learned along the way. So one thing that really helped me, because one of the challenges that I found was I didn't have any sort of footprint to follow in terms of the space that I was trying to create. So that came along with, failing a lot, learning a lot of things firsthand. But at the same time, now looking back at it, I see that as one of the biggest blessings of my journey, because as, Somali artists, women in this industry, I feel like we have to work 10 times harder than anyone. So just be prepared for that. And just enjoy the experience, and you're, inshallah, going to be successful in whatever you're doing.
Just to add to that, I agree with Hannah, keep it local. A lot of the projects that I've been part of, thankfully, have been local. A lot of the time, I've done it for free because I absolutely thoroughly enjoy acting and being part of creative people and just being in this space. So for me, I've had to seek out my own, when I see an advert on, I don't know, Instagram or a cast call or something, I literally go for it because, like Hannah said, these corporates don't know me. They should, but they don't know me. So you know, I just put myself out there. It's my passion. I like literally. I think for me, working 9 to 5 and then trying to pursue this kind of, you know, hoping the one gig after another, my local after, you know, the big boys will see me soon, you know. But I'd say just, yeah, if you enjoy something, just keep kind of do it as a hobby, apply for any you know, whatever it may be. Obviously, I'm not thinking that you're all actors, but whatever it is, if there's a group for it, if there's something happening, if there's a call out for it, go for it. I think that's the only kind of way that you're going to, and you're going to also like networking. Like I always go to networking events. I never know who I'm going to bump into. I've literally got like mountains of contacts, but sometimes it's just like the lack of time and all of these sorts of things. But like networking, go to networking events, and you know, it just leads to people. And you know, I met Hannah through, I think, auditioning for Arawela, right? Was it Home? I knew that. It was quite a while back. I think just go for it. Don't always think about what's in it for me. You know, you're going to learn so much skills in doing things and just being around people and observing people. So for me, I just want to be in spaces where creative people are. Yeah.
Just one more thing that I just wanted to add. If there's any time there's a space that you feel like doesn't exist out there in the world, go and make it. You know, make that space for yourself, because you're going to, you know, you're gonna, inshallah, make it easier for that, you know, younger creative person, you know, in the Somali community or, you know, whatever community, to follow that footsteps. And it's really sad that one of the biggest struggles that we face as young artists is, you know, finding those spaces that don't, you know, that fit. But I always tell people, like, it does not need to fit. Go and make your own space. And alhamdulillah, you know, that's one thing that really pushed me to where I am today. And I think if I didn't have that struggle, I wouldn't have the studio that I have now. Because one thing I found was, as a creative, when I, you know, graduated, I'll tell you straight, like, I literally could not have anyone, have a job in the creative industry. Like, it was really hard. And alhamdulillah, you know, I have my own studio. So always push yourself and, you know, take the challenge with pride. Yeah.
Thank you so much for all of those amazing insights. I think definitely find like-minded people, start local, create stuff for yourself, and just be brave enough to do it. I give you a classic example. Me, I'm one of the founders of Black Muslim Collective. We've been not, you know, active for a little while, but because I knew this is something that I want to continue, I went out and applied for grants, and alhamdulillah, you know, some of them came back, and now we're in a position where we get to do programming and create these third spaces that I want to exist in and be creative and innovative in our unique ways, right? So I think, yeah, definitely start up, find people who are willing to put in the work and graft with you, and like you'll definitely see the fruits of your labor down the line. It's not about like right now, it's definitely about the future. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, thank you so much. Give it up for Hannah, Hafsa and Qadra for an amazing discussion. Thank you once again. Round of applause. Woo! Beautiful. Are we feeling re-energized? Yeah? Are we looking forward to the final 2 acts? I'm so sorry. What was that? Are we looking forward to the final 2 acts? That's what I thought. Okay, perfect. So our next act goes by the name of Amal. Amal is a young emerging poet and spoken word artist who has performed at several venues across London. Her pieces explore religion, culture, and mental health, and raising awareness within her communities of these important issues. Amal also has future aspirations to publish her own poetry work, so please do be on the lookout for that. And she's also currently working on creating and developing a set of workshops centered around creative writing as well. So please give it up for Amal Yusuf.
Assalamu alaikum. I hope you guys are doing well today. Thank you for coming out, especially this evening after work, So I do appreciate that and hope you guys enjoy this, All right, so the first poem is called Alone. I'll try to read off the script, but it's really hard. Okay, so this poem is written to kind of create awareness for mental health and to kind of, people that do say suffer with mental health, for them to feel like, they're not alone, and to kind of, so kind of see the concept of mental health from a first hand, rather than kind of hearing what mental health is about, So it's called Alone. For so long, I felt so wrong, wondered where I belong. I seem to be stuck in the same old song, just trying to play along, but how can I stay strong? I feel all alone. Alone in this world I call my own, trying to understand the unknown at this age grown, faced with nothing but a mirror of stone. And I am tired. I am tired of fighting, tired of despising, tired of fright. Fixating, irritating, disgracing, disappointing, backbreaking, overthinking, the heart aching. I just want to feel free. I just want to be me and find the key to my happiness, and just maybe I will be able to cope with things easily. Will this ever be? Instead, I am trapped in a dictation that has me wrapped around as an expectation, leaving me no room for anticipation, yet I stay patient, on the verge of frustration. Surely is a foundation for a new beginning. Thank you. So my next poem is called Who Am I? I don't want to give too much information, just want you guys to figure out what I'm talking about. So it's called Who Am I? They call me oppression, the thing that takes away a woman's dignity and leaves them with depression. I seem to give people a bad impression without moving my lips or making any other expression. Without moving my lips or making any other expression. They are threatened by the fact that I have a meaningful interpretation, so they change my meaning to suit their own definition. I mean, who am I kidding? They only protect their own identification but can't admit their obsession, so they construct an aggression to the idea of modification. I mean, why go through this progression and create all this attention just because of your opinion? Hold on, I think I should thank you for the notification to the entire population. Now that information has spreaded, people can get education. So again, who am I? I proudly say that I am a protection, the shield of salvation, covering the heart from deception, part of legislation, which limits discretion for my owner's purification, so they can make a great position in this religion that I'm extracted from. For conclusion, I bring no harm to the publication, so defining myself one last time, who am I? Using 4 words, I am a hijab. Thank you. So my last poem is called Dear Child. So this is kind of like, telling a child, an unborn child, about how the world is today. So kind of go into that concept. So it's called Dear Child. Dear child, you will learn a language from a part of the world, and that language will contain of different letters. When put together, it creates a word. Words which then create sentences. Sentences, as many authors do, is write a storybook. However, they all have their purposes, so let me tell you what words can do to a single person. Someday you will be born into this world where words are used against each other during emotions and actions. You will also find them written down on papers, walls, and floors. You will learn to use this word one day, but as you grow, its meaning will change. You see, once I was just like you, taught to be happy, truthful, and loving. But as I got old, those same words seems as if it was told to me as a fairy tale, because people would use words which literally come across as a bomb. Once it leaves the tip of the tongue, it corrupts the soul. And I was once told to be happy, but I found the smile that defines happiness to fade into my thick skin and left with an opposite smile, which takes a mirror's line of symmetry to identify the opposite of being happy. Child, I never knew why people were telling the truth difficult, until I found out that people will lie because they believe that the lies will fix their piece of problems. But little did they know that those same lies that they told will not hold their problem as long as they think it would. A point will come in your life that your truthfulness will not be believed, however your lies will. And loving becomes so few in numbers that people will turn to material things and give it their loving. You see, child, I never ever gave up on the words I was once taught, because if people in this world was to conflict with what I was taught, at least there will still be some good left in this world. Thank you.
One more time for Amal Yusuf. And our final act, but I'm gonna just caveat, probably one of the most exciting acts of the evening. Anab Oud Traditional Dance Trio. Anab Oud is a mother and daughter dance group specializing in the traditional dance of Barambur. What is Barambur? A female-led dance and poetry performance. So I want you to envision drums, stomping of feet, poetry, and all of that good stuff, like really real rap, raw essence of what it means to really live the spirit of the culture. So I want you guys to give them a very warm welcome to the stage, Anab Oud and the Dance Trio.
Okay, so I want to say thank you very much for Kate Somali Artists. Thank you for having me, especially Ayan and Hannah and the whole other team. Thank you very much. So we're going to start the Barambur, inshallah. Barambur dhaqankayga weeyo madaha fikru. Barambur dhaqanka ahayga weeyo madaha fikru. Ahidu dhaxalka ahayga weeyo madaha fikru. Oo haddaan dhac ka siiya hablaha igu dhehelaya. Oo haddaan dhac ka siiya hablaha henu dhehelaya. Ahiduhu waa dhaxal galo hodhigaba ahay wada. Ahidu waa dhaxal galo hodhigaba ahay wada. Adulkeeni ma joogna dhaqankeena yuu husan dhumi shubahda dahdahda awaka hoy Kate Somali Artists hey kamil wadayihi. War Kate Somali Artists hey kamil wadayihi. Suganta bay ku hulmiya hawayna ku hubciya. Suganta bay aruriya hawayna ku hubciya. Waa kun karoonaya hal kun kalaga yaqa. War waa kun karoonaya hal kun kalaga yaqa. Karamanu wadahaya ha alla ku hubi kari. Karamanu wadahaya ha alla ku hubinka. Haydin haydin kaalmeeya rabbi higi kariimaha oo haydin kaalmeeya rabbi higi kariimaha oo idin makurbeeya rabbi higi kariimaha ana ducaanka hamilidihi anidihin kadhi ana ducaan idin kamila yesida ahaa ugu shubahada iskale kayda iskale waka kayd baa iskale haye Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you, Ayan. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, all the team, Kate. Thank you very much.
So I'm Hannah, I work with Kate. I'll be doing a few more events like this in July and August, September. So please do email me, find me on social media, Hannah Codes everywhere, and just take part. If you know anyone that would be good to take part as well, please do let me know.